it's hard to do things alone. It's hard to do them by yourself. And as Black women, we are so capable, creative, and and it's in our nature as women to cultivate things, right? To take a thing from an idea, from a seed, a literal seed, and create a life, create something of it, right? That is so innate to us as women. And so I want to lean into that, right? But but with some support. Create space, place, grace to do all of that cultivation, but not have to do it the hard way. Not have to do it because we're dragging our feet through a situation, but because we've been propped up and supported in a way that allows us to glide through whatever the process is. Hey, y'all, and welcome to Let's Talk Sis. I'm Shekinah, your host, and as we spend time together, I can promise you three things. I'll be honest, I'll make you laugh, and I won't hold back. Let's Talk Sis is your essential girl talk destination where you'll hear about life from the perspective of a Black woman in America, as our stories often go untold. I can assure you, while honest, we are a community for growth and love. Remember to like, subscribe, and share the podcast. Now sit back, relax, and let's talk, sis. Hello, 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 beautiful people. Oh my gosh. Welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk Sis. Y'all, we have been doing this thing for 7 months straight. Okay, 7 months straight. If you have been rocking with me from the beginning, then I think you can be an attest be a testament, excuse me, to just how impressive that actually is. We set a goal at the top of the year to put out 52 episodes this year. And so far, we are on track. I think I missed one episode. I think I missed one. But other than that, I have been pre planning. I have been working with my editor to be creative on how we can reutilize some of this content. Okay. Because y'all not going to burn me out with this podcast. Okay. This podcast that I decided to do on my own with no other push or anybody telling me to do, but y'all not gonna stress me. Okay. Um, and in these past 6, 7 months, just I have grown so much. This brand has grown so much. The universe around the brand has grown so much. And I am just so excited to really bring y'all along and share all the things. Like, why not? Like, let's get into it. This has always been a family. This has always been a sisterhood, a space for honest conversation from the jump. So that's just what we're gonna do today. Y'all, we're just gonna yap. Like, we're just gonna yap. I'm gonna fill y'all in on just some projects and things that I've been working on, some ideas and stuff that's floating around in my head, and we'll go from there. We'll see where it takes us. I do have one thing produced that I'm gonna share with you. Other than that, it's just whatever comes to me, okay? And I really hope that works. If not, you can go find something else to listen to. Okay, all right. Now we got the housekeeping out the way. A few church announcements, y'all. Listen, like I said, I am trying to expand my universe. I probably should have wrote these things down, but here we are. Ooh, I know what I can do. I'm gonna go to my link tree. I have started a Patreon. Okay, so you can find the Patreon at TikTok Ghetto. Hello. You can find me on Patreon at patreon.com/LTS Sisterhood. If that doesn't work, I will be sure to put the correct link on the screen here. Thank you, Jada. And you can also go to my Instagram at she_kinda_live. And you can click the link in my bio. You will see my link tree. It has all the things that I'm saying. So back to Patreon. If you want to support the Patreon, you have the option to support the Patreon at $3, $5, or I believe there's a $10 tier. And what you're doing when you're supporting is you are supporting this production. You're supporting me so that I can turn this into a full time career for one. Two, I can continue to give y'all quality content, not only quality in terms of what I'm talking about, but quality in terms of the visuals, the way we sound, the guests that we bring on. It's always been a dream of mine to be able to have my own podcast studio and space that not only is utilized for podcasting but a lot of other projects that I'm trying to work on. And so you supporting the Patreon allows me to bring those dreams to fruition. So again, you can support at $3, $5, or $15 a month. And what that gives you is just exclusivity. It gives you exclusive access not only to me but the Let's Talk Sis community, where we have even deeper and more personal connections and conversations, because we get real over there. We're getting behind the cameras, we're getting into each other's business, and we're also providing support and accountability, right? I have learned in this season in my life how valuable community and accountability is, and how much I really slept on it before. And so I want to create a space for women like myself. I'm going to bring on some other really cool people that I've met and that are in this universe. You have exclusive access to that. I'm going to be dropping journal prompts in there, some prompts that I have actually written out and done myself, and we'll discuss those personally, and you can get to know that. We'll be doing lives over there. I'll probably do some like cooking classes, some cocktail making classes, some game nights, just all the things that really help, again, support community. And so your support means everything to me. And if you're not quite ready to lock into the sisterhood on a monthly level, you can always buy me a coffee. You can visit buymeacoffee.com/ let's talk sis. Again, I will put the link on the screen as well as in the description of this show. And buying me a coffee is just your one-time support, two-time support, however many cups you want to buy. It's your opportunity to support the platform at whatever level you find appropriate. Again, so we can help to bring all those things to fruition. Now, I also am hosting, you guys probably won't see this episode by then, but I will have hosted my first content masterclass. And this is something that I'm going to start doing more and more often. And depending on your response and, what you guys are saying, I might do another one. But this is basically just an opportunity for me to try and help um, give some tips, some tricks to business owners, some processes and some tools that I've learned that has made content creation so much easier for me. I create content in a lot of different formats. I have, the podcast, I have short form content, TikToks, I have graphics, I have Facebook, Instagram, I have all the things. And it is very overwhelming. It can be very overwhelming a lot of times to figure out how to manage all of that, especially when you're not me, a creative, a digital marketer. That's what I literally studied in school, is marketing and communications. Some people study biology and science, and so their brain does not work in that way. And so this is just a really quick, easy, fun class for me to be able to share some of my expertise. It's $10 for the first 10 spots. After that, the price is going up to $20. So get your tickets, get them now, get them while you can. I'm really excited to share that with you guys. I think it'll be a really fun time. And I hope you enjoy it just as much as I do. I think that is all of the church announcements that I have. Well, lastly, I started a business this year. I started a business. It's called LTS Promotions. It is within the Let's Talk Sis universe. It is a business dedicated to helping small women-owned businesses clarify their brands and increase profitability. I have been working with so many different business owners who, similar to like I just said, they're really good at the thing that they're really good at, right? They're really good at selling a house or teaching students or teaching teachers, or they're a life coach, or they're a fitness instructor or a comedian, and they're really good at that. But when it comes to the language when it comes to the look, the feel, the design of their brand, they struggle a little bit. A lot of people think that their brand starts and stops with a logo, and it's really beyond that. It's really a lot to do with your language, your positioning, your strategy in terms of what you do and what you don't do, because either it is on brand for you or it is off brand for you. And if you're finding yourself constantly second guessing, well, what do I say? How do I phrase this? How do I tell somebody what it is that I do or what do I offer? Well, I have all these different services, but I haven't made sense of them. Or, I have all these ideas or really good idea, and I just haven't done the thing to get it in motion. I say we go from ideation to creation. That's what I spend my time with clients doing, getting the things out of their head into real life and making sure it aligns with their brand and their audience. So we work on all of those things. I am your brand bestie. I'm here to help clarify your brands and help you stand out. And again, increase profitability. We're all here to make a bottom line, make that dollar increase, right? It's no point in all the things looking good and sounding good if they're not going to hit my target audience. And so we really work on refining that and making sure that that is the result of us working together. So for all of this, for all of the things, you can visit imshekinah.com. All of this stuff is there. My podcast is there. The brand bestie is there. I'll put my Patreon, I'll put all the other links on there. I'm also going to start a Discord so we can get to texting bestie. Y'all can hit my line. We can chat it up throughout the day, encourage each other, joke with each other, and just love on each other ultimately over there. So, okay, that was for real the end of my church announcements. So, with that being said, it's time to talk. Let's talk, sis. Okay. Get your drinks, get your popcorn, get your snacks. I won't keep you long, but I'm gonna talk to you for a little bit. Um, so the first thing I wanted to talk about today is building community. I kind of touched on it a little bit, but I really want to get into how valuable it is and really talk about what that means for me. Um, and the word build is very important in this. You know, I have always been a serial loner. And what I mean by that, because if y'all my girls, if you my peoples on the line listening, don't take this personally. But what I mean by that is my I have found that my life experiences, by choice and not by choice, are often different than those that I'm around. It is very uncommon that I relate to people on a manner deeper than we are entertained by the same things, right? It is uncommon that I find people who were whose experience in school was similar to mine, who was a student similar to mine, who moved out of their home at the time and the age that I did, whose dealings with relationships with the opposite sex are similar. It's often different. And so because of that, I've felt a lot of times alone. I've felt a lot of times that my experience is singular, that I am one of 20 people, going through this. It's not common. It's just me alone, 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 right? I started a whole podcast so that I could speak into the void and hope that, somebody relates to the things that I'm talking about. Somebody relates to my experience personally. I still have yet to feel like I've had that best friend. Everybody's like, I got that one person, they know all my secrets. They'll take it to the grave. If ever we fell out, they would be able to know this. I don't necessarily have that. Now I have friends who we've been cool We rock, they rock with me, I rock with them, I support them, they support me. We talk here and there, we check in on each other here and there. But if you were to ask me what's going on in their life exactly right now, probably wouldn't exactly know. And vice versa. And this is no diss. And so all of that brings me to the point that makes me feel sad a lot of times. That makes me feel alone a lot of times. And then you combine the fact that I decided to up and move, away from any nucleus of family and support that I may have had, right? Literally moved from where I was born and raised out of Michigan into Florida. I was in Florida for 8 years, built community, built some friends. And even that was, what it was. But moved from Florida. Now I'm here and it's back to square one again, And so instead of kind of being upset about it, I've just tried to be proactive. Try to be proactive about it, engaging more online, utilizing the Facebook groups, the the TikTok, the sides of TikTok, on um fitness talk or clean talk or black woman talk or natural hair talk, like whatever, finding those segments of people in community because they're out there. Y'all are out there. People are out there who relate and understand to what I'm saying, but being intentional about finding them. And so with that, I have also created a podcast accountability group. So I am in a secret society club that exists but does not exist entirely exactly. That's neither here nor there. But in this group, I reached out to some people originally looking, y'all have heard me talk about it, looking for guests on the show. And I made cool connections with those people, but me and one other particular person in the group, her name is Kimberlyn. Y'all just seen her all over the podcast for the past 3 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever. In her 3-part series. If you haven't checked it out, please go and watch. It was so good, just on speaking about late diagnoses and neurodivergence and making accommodations for yourself and really getting to know who you are. But she and I have connected on like a real sister level and it's so refreshing to find someone who gets it, right? I don't know anybody else in my immediate circle or even secondary circle. I know one other person who does a podcast. And he actually did help me kind of get started. But aside from that, I don't know anybody else who does a podcast who's really trying to get into this content media space. And so when you speak about the things you're trying to build or need to do or are interested in doing, other people can kind of glaze over their eyes. They can, "Oh, okay, girl, that's real cool," and it's not a conversation or an interaction that fills you necessarily. But in speaking with her, and there's another member in the group, Sierra, we started a group called the Podcast Booze. And all of us have podcasts and we communicate in this group. It's just so refreshing to connect with someone, again, that gets it, that understands your struggles, that knows what you're going through, that can give you advice, tips, and tricks, even with like setting up my background in my studio and refreshing the look and all the things. I remember just having the conversation with her and just venting about how it just seemed so stressful. I hate the way things look. I don't like my set. It's so this, it's so that. And then she asked me a very simple question. She was just like, "Well, what do you want it to look like?" And honestly, I hadn't really considered that. And I'm telling y'all this, it's very simple, but this is why you need community because I was in my own head just complaining about what's wrong, what's wrong, what's wrong. And theirs looks like that, and theirs looks like this, and theirs looks like this. And for her to just simply ask me that question, allow me the space to actually think about it, right? Think about what I want, what elements would I need, what can I start with, right? What can I add here and there and slowly but surely to upgrade the set. That's girl, just do it, and it's so simple. And she even I was like, well, I put all the things in my card, but it's this, and that. She's like, well, you ain't got to get it all right now. You don't have to do it all today. You can order the plant and then the accessory and then the chair and da da da. And that's exactly what I did. Okay. And that's exactly what I did. Now, mind y'all, this backdrop and this plant is very a simple aesthetic improvement, but I think it's a major improvement. Also, this camera, I'm on my phone. I figured out how to use my phone as a camera instead of a webcam because that was driving me crazy. The way that it looked was driving me crazy. And it's the small things, it's the little things that having that little bit of community, that little bit of conversation, that little bit of somebody else who gave a fuck about what I'm doing, that helped move the needle along. I can complain. I've complained about my set and what it looks like to other people, and it doesn't look that bad. Jada, I want you to put a clip of an old podcast right there. And I want a little show and tell side by side. And y'all tell me this is not an improvement. Okay. Okay. Moving on. So, if y'all can't see, I am on YouTube. I appreciate y'all listening, but come on over to the YouTubes. Look at me. It looks good. Um, so yes, and so aside from that, the encouragement, right? Because now through conversations with Kimberlyn and us having so we are both very much we are a part of the stage crew. Kev on stage, his stage crew, and he does this thing called Dream Talk. He'll get on his Patreon, and since I've been following him, which has been for at least the past 7-8 years, I want to say he will get on his Patreon and he'll just share what he's working on, what he's trying to do, what he envisions the brand to be, all the things that he's trying to build. And so we did that. We had our first podcast booze meeting and we did Dream Talk. We talked about where we see this thing going, right? And in turn, how can our community support that dream, right? And so I figured I would share a little bit of that with y'all. Because I haven't really, I don't think, because originally when I started this podcast, I had no idea. I had no idea, where I wanted this to go, what the vision was. It was really very much a selfish initiative. It was very much this is something I need to do for myself, right? For my expression, for my creative yearning, for again to find community. It was all for me, and in a way it still is to this day, right? I still get on this mic for the things that I learned through the conversations that I'm having, but it is also to help spark conversations in your homes, and again, so you don't feel like you're the only person going through the thing. But when I think globally, long term, um, visionary, like about what Let's Talk Sis is, I think of this edutainment platform mixed with a little bit of venture capitalism. I want Let's Talk Sis to be a platform where we come to be entertained, where we come to be educated, and where we come to find resources, financial resources to build these businesses, dreams, goals that we have. Whether that financial resource is a grant, is a investor, is a human resource, a financial advisor, a branding strategist, a life coach, whatever that resource is, And that comes for me down the line a little bit after having conversations, after doing market research, of seeing what maybe the core five resources that these women owned businesses and entrepreneurs are needing. But whatever it is, again, there's retreats, there's conferences, there are online courses and modules and all kinds of things that come from Let's Talk Sis, because again, it's hard to do things alone. It's hard to do them by yourself. And as Black women, we are so capable, creative, and and it's in our nature as women to cultivate things, right? To take a thing from an idea, from a seed, a literal seed, and create a life, create something of it, right? That is so innate to us as women. And so I want to lean into that, right? But but with some support. Create space, place, grace to do all of that cultivation, but not have to do it the hard way. Not have to do it because we're dragging our feet through a situation, but because we've been propped up and supported in a way that allows us to glide through whatever the process is. So that's the vision, the dream, the goal for Let's Talk Sis. When y'all buy me a coffee, when you're paying for the Patreon, that is what you're supporting. That's the mission at hand with this Let's Talk Sis universe, as we're naming it, because eventually, um, we, the podcast booth, some other content creators that we're starting to work with, we plan to come together. We are all about community. We're all about, okay, let me use your platform, you use my platform. I got a couple followers over here, you got a couple of followers over there. Let's mix and mingle this thing and get it all going on, because there's no point in us all struggling through to the finish line. So that's that on that. Now, I want to close out with saying that I wanted to share my 10 commandments with y'all. And these are okay, so I got this from TikTok. The creator was talking about, she's a therapist and she's a marriage therapist, and she was saying that you had she was trying to teach people, women essentially, how to get what they want from men, right? And talking about your approach matters, how you are matters, right? If you want your man to show up for you in a particular way, there needs to be a certain standard expectation set. And often we look to our spouse, our partner, the other person, um, when that standard expectation is not being met, to figure out what they're not doing. And she said, however, you have to start with yourself. You have to have a standard expectation or routine, um, for how you will and will not show up and engage in relationships. And essentially a foundation, for who you are, because sometimes when you are in these relationships, I'll speak personally, I'm an emotional being, and my emotions take over and cloud my decision making, right? And so to have this foundational commandment, she said, develop 10 commandments for how you will and will not be in a relationship, helps to support and undergird those those things, those issues, those requests, those um whatever that you need to bring to the table, that you need to speak on, that you need to address, or that you don't need to address because it does not align with who you are, who you command yourself to be. Now, these obviously are secondary to the 10 commandments given by our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Well, he really only calls us to love the Lord and our brother as we love the Lord. But That's neither here nor there. Y'all understand what I mean by this. So my first commandment, and I encourage you all to do this too, and I hope I'm explaining it well, and maybe it'll make more sense after I share them. But ultimately, these are my 10 commandments for how I will be living my life. So number one is I will live Christocentrically, which is Christ is at the center of everything. So I'm gonna put this disclaimer out there now. If y'all don't want to hear about a testimony, if y'all don't want to hear about, anything God, Jesus, or the Holy Spirit has done for me, go ahead and log off now. Go ahead and unfollow because that is the core central tenet to everything. Without him, what are we doing, people? Okay. Number two, I will prioritize physical activity. And this was incredibly helpful for me because it helps me to remember that my physical activity is not a thing to check off a list. Oftentimes that's how I thought about working out, being active. I had to check it off the list. Once I do it enough times, it'll be done for, right? It's like a project, a semester project. You get at the beginning of the semester, well, if you work on it real hard, you don't have to do no work the last month of the semester because you finished early, right? That's how it felt working out. Making it a commandment that I will prioritize my physical activity, that means it's here for life, baby. It's staying for life. And it also gives me grace that if today I don't do a 45-minute cardio workout and all I do is stretch, that is okay. Right? If I go hard all week like I did last week and these next 2-3 days I'm taking off because it was my birthday and I've been turned up, that is okay. But tomorrow I'm back to it, right? I have to get back to it. I will rest, but I will never retreat. I can take a rest, but I gotta keep going. It is a commandment for myself, for my life to prioritize my physical health. So that also means, and I'm telling you what it means like for me and how, it's affecting me, that I have to make the room for it. I have to make the accommodation to work out. I can no longer say, well, I got a full day, da 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 da. It's like that. It's been like that for the past 5 days. Well, you need to wake up earlier. If you got shit to do from 9 to 7 p.m., you need to be up at 6 and working out at 7 because you have to get that physical activity. It's a priority. And if it gets so bad to the point, well, I got to cancel that 9 a.m. appointment because I got to work out, then that's what you have to do. But that is what that looks like for me. Number three is I will honor my emotions and communicate my needs. Now, this is a work I'm, that's been being done in me. Um, because to honor my emotions and communicate my needs is a process in and of itself, right? Honoring the emotion means I recognize it, I identify it, I see it, and I give myself grace for feeling whatever it is I feel: fear, anger, disappointment, hurt. And communicating my need is the boundary that I have to enforce because I can be disappointed in somebody or something, and because I'm not communicating what I need to remove myself from that disappointment, I'm now in this cycle of, well, I feel disappointed, but they're not doing anything about my disappointment. Well, they don't know about my disappointment. Well, should I even feel disappointed? But I do feel disappointed, but they don't know and they're not fixing. So it just goes in this circle. And so by honoring it, hey, I feel disappointed. Period. I feel disappointed. I can do my work. Why am I feeling disappointed? Well, what happened that made me feel disappointed, or what didn't happen that made me feel disappointed? Now, communicating my needs. Sometimes that just means I journal it. Sometimes that just means I say out loud, I was disappointed. You know what? I was disappointed. And I just needed to get that off my chest. And sometimes it's okay, I was disappointed because I actually expected da 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 and da, and I need you to do this, that, and the third for me next time. And being okay with it and being okay with the other person not receiving it, not liking it or agreeing with it or valuing or whatever, but I've communicated it. Next is I will lead with love and seek good first. That's fairly cliche and fairly self explanatory, but it's very necessary in times where you feel done wrong. When you feel done wrong or misunderstood or overlooked or whatever, disrespected or whatever, to lead with love is through the power of the Holy Spirit. Amen. And when I seek good first, I often find it. You get what you are looking for. And so I want good things. I want good things in my life, good feels in my life. And so, yes, I will be a good financial steward. Now, I should probably just put this disclaimer out there for all of them. These are all things that I am not saying that I am today in this moment, but I will be, meaning I have to do the things to become better. Because I will be a good financial steward, I got to start stewarding finances. Because physical activity is a priority in my life, I got to start prioritizing it. So keep that in mind, right? Some of these commandments can be aspirational, if you will. They don't have to be so, I will drink 64 ounces of water every day. It could be that. It could be that. But again, it could be some things that are kind of aspirational to where there's not a finite moment of it's been done, if that makes sense. I will be kind to myself, self-explanatory. I will honor my routines and my boundaries. This was really big for me to do because I'm terrible at them. I will set a boundary. I'll set up a routine. I do it once or twice because it somehow gets in the way or it somehow becomes inconvenient or there's work to it, right? But good things happen when I show up. And I have to honor those things because that translates to how people honor and treat me. If I say I need flowers every Friday, and I'm not even sticking to my own routines, what makes somebody else think that they got to stick to a routine I enforce on them or expect of them, right? So again, these are how I'm going to show up, the boundaries that I'm going to say. And boundaries I learned too are about what I do in a situation, right? Not what I expect somebody else or how I expect somebody else to show up, but what I do in response to whatever they going, right? Whatever they got going on. Next, I will live in joy and with intention to make life special. So that comes with the smallest of things. For example, my birthday just passed. I wore a crown for 2 days, literally sewed it onto my head so it did not fall off. Right. I actually wore black the entire month of July in mourning and in honor of the 20-year-old me. We'll talk about that on another episode. But I I'd like to drink water out of a wine glass. These are just small things that I enjoy. I have this little girl cave. I've got lights that come on. You probably can't really see them, but it gets real moody in here. I have candles all around. These are things that just help me, little things to live in joy. Last two, I will hold space for forgiveness. Excuse me, I will hold space for change and forgiveness, which is so big because everything always is changing, but I don't always want it to. I don't always want things to be different. I don't want to always forgive people. But by telling myself to hold that space for it means when it happens, I won't be jolted. Right. I won't be jolted by the fact that something's changing. I won't be off my rocker by this change. There's space there for it. It's all right. we got change coming, and we've got space, we've got room, we've got capacity, we've done the things to allow this change and forgiveness to occur. And last thing, I will show up for myself past, present, and future. I'm learning, and maybe I'll do an episode specifically on all of these, but just about how you have your inner child and reparenting and loving your inner child and all the things, and also about how important it is to honor the space that you're in today and where you are today, and be responsible for who you are going to become in the future. So, those are my 10 commandments. Those are the guides and tenets, core tenets of my life in this next season. And again, I encourage you all to do the same thing for yourself, and share with me. Let me know. You ain't got to tell me all 10, but you could tell me something in the comments. Put in the comments, comment on my story. However, you get the information to me, let me know. I really would love to hear some commandments that you guys have. And listen, these, unlike the commandments God gave Moses, are not written in stone. And so we can change them, right? As we grow, as we learn more things about ourselves, what we need, what we don't need, who we actually are, right? These commandments can change. So for now, that's me, that's your girl, and that's the episode. We have been yapping, we've been talking. It's been so good, just you and me here. Oh my God, I love this. Is gonna happen more often. We're gonna do more solo episodes coming up this second half of the year. But y'all, I'm so excited for all the things happening, and I really hope y'all stick around. If you haven't done it already, subscribe. Okay, y'all be watching and y'all be subscribing. What's up with that? I mean, you don't want the notifications, or you do. So subscribe, like, share, send this to everybody and anybody you know will love it. And thank y'all. I'll see y'all next week. Bye.